This is a special year for Macau delegates attending the two sessions since the city marked the 20th anniversary of returning to China. Recently, the Chinese government announced several new financial measures to support cross-border transactions in the Greater Bay Area. For Macau delegates, visitors and investment are key to a speedy recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. On that, I speak to Chui Sai-Peng, who is a deputy of Macau Legislative Assembly and also Macau delegate to the National People's Congress, to find out more about the realities as a result of COVID-19 and social distancing. It seems that a lot of economies are trying to go back to partial normalcy, at least, even though they do not know exactly what's to come. How is Macau's economy? What exactly are you trying to do in order to come back to at least some kind of normalcy?
Well, I think we've tried a number of things. First of all, in the very bad days, basically the government is advising everyone and all enterprises to have their workers stay at home, and if they have to be frontline workers, try to keep them having pay but don't have to go to work. And if they can do at home, and they would encourage people to have a home office. And so I think in the first stage, people are pretty much concerned about what is the development of the COVID-19, more than if they are keeping their jobs and how is the economy doing. But then after we have things settled, because up to this point, Macau only have 45 cases confirmed. And right now, at the present time, as I know it, there are 0 people in the hospital for that cause, and there are 0 deaths. So I think Macau is coming up very well, and the people are getting more confidence to go out. And so gradually, people are going back to work. And right now, government also put out policies of having a consumer coupon. That is a way of encouraging local citizens to go to restaurants and supermarkets and buy other services, even for creative industry. They are trying to sell arts and things like that. And the government's stimulus program is gradually putting people back control with the economy. But certainly Macau is keeping a close eye on what's happening to our neighbors, to everywhere. But then it's hard for Macau to open the borders if other people are getting sick. Right. So I think health as #1 issue is still Macau's policy. And after health, then it comes to economy. And so far, I think we are doing okay with the internal consumer market. External is definitely not nearly close to what we would hope it can be.
You were at the opening ceremony of the NPC. You listened to the government work report. Obviously, the central government is not looking at all a specific number when it comes to GDP growth rate because so much uncertainty. Now, with tourists mainly coming from the mainland, what does that mean for Macau? Does Macau have some kinds of alternative plan, at least for short term, how to make the economy move?
As we can find out, there are a number of businesses actually are getting positive growth, such as online education and online markets, and they are doing quite well. And I think the people are seizing this opportunity as a way of promoting their products online, and I think the local citizens are taking it in quite well. And also, with the online business, Macau is actually opening the door earlier than we would expect. It's not opening the door physically, but then the online market is up and running. This also stimulates the government have to look into investing heavier and faster into the intercommunication. The 5Gs and other, internet-related services would definitely have to be kicked in the high gear. And so this becomes a new trend for Macau to look at. And of course, as we look at the central government's policy, it says, there's no definite number they would try to put. But having no number doesn't mean having no strategy. I think the government has a very clear strategy of what they want to do, except that, it's not totally up to China to decide because, natural epidemics and pandemics is beyond what a country can do. But definitely, I can see the government is doing something, is promoting a lot of internal consumptions. And for Macau, since it's a small market, we will try to do the same because as the border is still closed, we don't have free access or easy access to mainland and even Hong Kong. Stimulating the internal market is the only thing we can do, and probably this is the best we can do for now.
I'm very impressed by the resilience attitude coming from Macau, sir. Having said that, though, I do want to mention the Greater Bay Area. Now, that was being considered as a shining spot in terms of cooperation between the three sides, among the three sides, the mainland, Hong Kong, Macau. Now, with social distancing, borders, I mean, among regions is still relatively closed. How do you look at that, and particularly the amount of investment already put in there?
Well, I can see the policies being delayed, but not stopped. You know, the temporary suspension is definitely the case, but then it doesn't mean we'll forego this policy, and so it would just probably would put us back in time, maybe half a year or even a year. The ultimate goal is to unite the Great Bay Area, and I think this policy definitely is going to be the way to go in the coming decades. It will take time, and with Macau cooperating with Zhuhai, especially in Hengqin Island, this is going to be, taking some time for us to develop because, hundreds of years for Macau to develop, and if we can really make use of the Hengqin Island, I won't say, take 3 centuries, but at least, take 20, 30 years, and probably that will keep Macau busy for a while.
Definitely. Definitely, that will keep Macau busy for quite a while. Having said that, though, talking about Macau's neighbor, Hong Kong, at this year's National People's Congress, one of the most important tasks for the country's legislature is to work on a decision about establishing and improving the legal framework as well as the implementation mechanism of Hong Kong SAR for national security. Now, it has a lot to do with the earlier unrest in Hong Kong and chaos and political divisions. But, watching your neighbor, Mr. Chui, how do you look at the latest decision?
Well, people are taking it very seriously because, Hong Kong's situation is definitely worthy of much greater attention, and people should really divert our attention to fighting the virus and take some time to look at, how Hong Kong has been. And it has been over a year plus in all the situation, and I think the central government is putting this through the NPC with this decision. I think it's very timely and prudent and proper and responsible.
Well, looking at the experience of Macau SAR, the Special Administrative Region, probably you can provide some reference to all of us as to how it works, the relations between the central government and the SARs, and how people living and working there, what is it like for them?
Well, actually, I think the Macau people understand the one country, two system in a very clear manner, and we understand that, under one country is the most important things. Without China, Macau would not exist. The Macau SAR would not be formed in 1999. And so I think people know the SAR is part of China and not vice versa, and not, an independent country or place. So this definitely, with this understanding, people live with this motherland in good harmony. We understand that the betterment of Macau can benefit China, China's betterment would, the mainland would also help Macau. And so this, relationship is very clearly demonstrated when Macau put forth the 23rd Articles to create our own security legislation. It went through very smoothly. People understand what needs to be done, and people put it in place quickly. Because with this guarantee, Macau can function in a long time in a safe manner. And with people not worrying, the national security, Macau can now concentrate our effort in creating our own economy system in the way that would best serve Macau as well as serve China, and to be a window, for China to go to the rest of the world, especially to the Portuguese-speaking country. Definitely is the consensus for Macau people, and I think the central government also agreed with that very much. Now look at it the UNESCO has classified Macau's historic city as a heritage place in 2005. Now that is an international attention that has been given to Macau, which we never received before. And in 2017, UNESCO again classified Macau as a creative city. And so that is also another compliment for Macau. And so we can see, as Macau is growing steadily and healthily and strongly and internationally, we are receiving proper attentions, and people are giving the dues to Macau. And I think the Macau people are enjoying the fruit of our labor and also the fruit of the economy. And so I think Hong Kong can also look at and see if they would want to have something similar to Macau.
The world is becoming more complicated. It's not just the pandemic, there's also geopolitics, there's also a very different world order likely to evolve right in front of us. That's something we haven't seen for quite a few decades. So, Mr. Chui, how do you, looking at the latest situation, what is your take, sir?
Well, I think China is going to have to go through a lot of tough times. But then I'm confident that Macau and China would come out ahead much stronger than before. And this trialing period may be long, and measures have been taken, maybe sometimes painful. But I think, it's like any growing process. At the end, I think the world economy would come to their senses, will be back to order. People will come to senses and back to order. And hopefully, the virus would be able to be subdued by our technology. If not, we have to find ways to coexisting with it as any other virus that we face. And I think, China would become a stronger place.